Dual Alliance with myself, Alicia, and Megan, where every week we discuss the challenge. We are back to continue our discussion on season 40. We're on episode 16 this week, and we are at the last men's elimination for this season. This week, we got, a little bit of two people who honestly, I didn't think, I don't know if I thought that Derek was gonna make it this far, but I'm glad that he did. And of course, going against the best Black king that we've ever seen on the challenge in Corey. And it was really interesting to see how his downfall went this week. I'm so sorry, but we don't like to see the downfall of Black kings, but this one, kind of was rooting for it. And yeah, And also, this is the last episode before we get to the New Year's, which, y'all, if y'all been sticking with us, thank you so much because this season has been dragging on. Okay. We all know how the challenge gets. These are the dog days of the challenge. And so we're almost done with this season. I think we have about 4 to 5 more episodes, but they're not coming until the new year. So please bear with us.
Oh, and next week is the last week before the final, basically, because like next week is gonna be the last women's elimination, most likely, and we're having the last challenge. Which I feel like what in the preview we saw, I know I'm skipping a little bit ahead, but that carcass in the middle of the water, it had me looking like, what the heck did they got them doing? But we'll see. But in today's episode, this episode basically, we came back with Corey, Jordan, and Derek being the new targets. And Kara at some point kind of felt that she failed to keep her kind of top two guys and Derek and Corey safe. And Corey jokingly was like, "Oh, why, Jenny? Why?" And it is what it is with that. Like, of course, this be Corey because she wasn't going to say Banana's name. He wasn't an option, and Highland won, so it is what it is. Um, the daily challenge, this is a very straightforward episode, to be honest, so we're just gonna skip into the daily challenge, which is called Fire Plunge, where we had Burger King back as a sponsor for another challenge daily, and it's on par because they had a Burger King flame grill design car that they will be in, and they had to solve a puzzle that hotwired the car that would push them over the cliff. And then after they got over the cliff, they would be ejected into the water and had to swim to the finish. The fastest man and woman would win this daily because it was times. And honestly, everybody did decent except for Kara, because I don't know what the heck she was doing.
Uh, I don't know. She came back with the same old sorry excuse of, well, I didn't grow up with a pool, so I really don't know. And it's just like, Cara, we done heard this 50 million times before. It's honestly a poor excuse. And especially in a season like this where it's been so up and down with her, we're getting close to the final. I really don't want to hear that as an excuse. You just performed poorly. And that's just the bottom line. And you need to know how to get in a 5K, like not 5K, but like a 500-meter swimming in the final. So, yeah, Cara, I mean, she wanted to use it as an excuse, but girl, ain't no excuse at this point when it comes to you're this close to a final. But yeah, like you said, Cara performed poorly. Kylan also performed poorly, and that's a kind of chink in his armor that Bananas mentioned that kind of can go against Kylan when we get into a final if he makes it to the final, which it seems like he is. But Kylan struggled with the swim. Bananas did okay. Jordan obviously smoked it. And this, I hate to say this, but this is looking like Jordan's final to lose. And, we're still at least 2 weeks out of the final. But with everything, given everything how we've seen in the past couple of weeks with his performance and Tori's performance, it just seemed like they're the two top people to beat in the final, who the competition that's left. And so Jordan performed well, and you know, the ability to go first and kind of just set the bar for everyone. That is what Jordan did this week. We got Rachel also, who, she went next and she thought she did well. And I thought she did okay too. But she thought she was going to be able to set the bar. And Tori kind of came in and wiped her dreams away. And then also peed after, which is just white people shit. Like, why are you peeing on yourself, girl? Like, do that in the water. Like, please.
I don't. When Bananas mentioned that, I didn't even notice it, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? Like, have some decorum. Um, but not only like did aside from I'm moving on from that. Um, Derek also struggled a bit with the puzzle to for the first couple pieces, but he was able to get it done, and he did move a little slow in the swim. The swim really did have like people like kind of like tripped up if you weren't Jordan or Tori or Bananas or Michelle either, because Michelle can swim and that's like one of her best traits. But half the group basically could not swim. But Corey, he did a decent job of getting through the puzzle and swim because he's been really working on it in the pool apparently. And it showed in this daily.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad because Corey, for all of his, ways where he's gotten better in the challenge, it just doesn't seem good enough. And even this is another part of his game where he's improved in terms of his swimming, but it didn't help as much because he still ended up in the bottom. And so it's kind of like Corey is always good enough until it's time to be great enough, and he's never great. And that's always my issue with Corey. Is just like every time he comes back, I want to do it for my kids. I got 3 kids. I want to do this. I want to do that, and all these dreams and aspirations. And he gets better. It does show in some of his game. But then when it comes down time to it, and you're in the sea of competition, you just don't perform. Like you're not who you think you are, bro. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Cause like he has like some of the attributes, but not all the way. But this, like we said, challenge was a doozy for the most part. Surprisingly, I think people were shocked that Tori was the woman winner of this daily because I think they thought that Rachel had it in the bag, but Jordan was the male winner for this daily, and there isn't going to be a chamber for this week because Jordan won, which he's a target, so he's safe. The losers of this daily, of the guys, Derek going straight into elimination, and also Corey. He will face Derek. So now all the targets are pretty set in stone with going to elimination for the most part. And the losing woman, no surprise, in Cara Maria, will have a penalty for next week. And that, like you said, is like a testament to kind of like how she's been up and down. I don't like. I know she's in a good headspace, but it's to a detriment because I'm like, you should be locked in at all times.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what to make of Cara this season, to be honest, because she started off really strong. Obviously, she had a lot of people who wanted to get her out because they know her capabilities. And even after coming off of her losing in that elimination against Michelle, I was excited to see Cara. All Stars, excited to see Cara. And she gave us what she needed to, but she also still came up short. And so I thought she would have a little bit more fire under her, but I don't know if everything after the Laurel situation happened, she just kind of checked out mentally and just has not been performing her best. And she knows that though. That's the thing with Cara being self-aware in this season, at least. She's able to kind of identify that she just not has had it in terms of whatever that is. And so I don't know how she's going to get that back with literally a week left in terms of getting it right. And also now putting herself in a position to be a target. Uh, it's just I want to see her perform well. At least try to, but if not, I'm not sure what to make of Cara this season.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree because I feel like at this point, like she went through the ringer emotionally, and like I said, I really do think at some point she did check out, and she's just letting things just go by the wayside, and this is chilling. But like, you can't have that mindset even on like a monumental season like this. Granted, it was some BS happening in the beginning of the season. I feel like she should have been a little bit like more equipped and like better, just like in a better headspace. I feel like that situation were all good, done, moving on. But I guess, like I said, she's just being very lackadaisical and just going where the wind blows. But like I said, Corey and Derek are the targets for information this week, and they have a mutual respect for one another, which is kind of nice to see. But it kind of I don't. This is where the point of the episode, I'm like, hey, it's about to be a very long episode for no reason because we just have a whole bunch of filler people just talking and yapping. And I'm like, I just want to get it over with at this point.
Yeah, I think that's been probably one of the major issues in being a viewer of this show. Like, no shade, I probably would have checked out a long time ago just because it's just so much of nothing filled up in these episodes. Like, we really could have sped this up at least 4 weeks ago, in my mind, and could have gotten at least chopped down the episodes from an hour 30 to at least an hour 45 minutes, edited all fine, and like kind of sped this up a little bit. But obviously they're making TV, so they have to do what they got to do. But this episode, like the rest of them for the past couple of weeks, have dragged. And the only upside we saw this week in terms of storyline was just hearing Derek and his sister and him giving her honor in terms of being in this elimination and trying to just find that extra motivation to get through this elimination, because we haven't really gotten Derek's story except for I'm gay, I'm single, I'm having a good time, I put on wigs, I party. That's really what we got from Derek. And he's performed well in a couple of weeks, but they haven't really given us much substance. And so this week he got a little bit more substance in his story in terms of his why, which I can appreciate. And it just came on a great day of him going into elimination, and that was the day that his sister died. So that was probably the only storyline this week for me. Everything else kind of fell to the wayside. Even Corey's phone calls with his family, because, like I said, we've all heard Corey talk about his daughters, his daughters, his daughters. I'm doing it for my family. First, it was one daughter, then it was two, then it was three. So it's just like we've heard this story time and time again before. It's nothing new with Corey. And I think the funniest part was Cheyenne, his first baby mother, Devin. Cheyenne on the phone talking about, hey, like, it'll be funny if you were away for a month and a half and you came back as a loser. Cheyenne knows her personnel. She knows her ex. She knows that man clearly well. Okay. And so, Corey was just trying to be positive, like, I got this, da da da. But Cheyenne, I mean, I can't make you out as a liar, sister. You kind of called it.
She showed it. But like, hey, it's the same story every single time. He's made it to some finals, come and fell short, and he's left before the finals and went home empty-handed. And I was like, listen, I get it. At some point, if he sounds like Tashina Arnold and Everybody Hates Chris, when she's talking about his daddy, he's like, my man got 3 jobs. I'm good. That's literally what I hear every time Corey says, I got 3 kids, I got 3 daughters, I gotta take care of, and I gotta get this win. I'm like, listen, I get it. I get the plight, but I need something else. That's it.
Please. And the only other quote unquote storyline that is noteworthy worthy to touch on, I guess, is the whole Mount Rushmore, which we don't need to discuss that in depth about the Mount Rushmore. But I just thought it was odd that they put Emily up there. I get the Tori recency bias of her being on the last 10 seasons, literally, of the challenge and only winning one. Not sure why she's up there, but y'all keep y'all white Mount Rushmore. Cool. Emily, though, I mean, I don't know if they forgot that Rachel was there. Rachel's clearly still the only Era One person that's in the house. So I would have preferred to see Rachel up there. You can have your arguments and discussions about who do you think should be up there. Should it be Coral? Should it be this person? That whatever. But to me, I just thought Emily was the oddest one that was in the mix of what, I mean, the challenge is. If they're gonna do it by eras or by impact, I just think that Emily should not be up there.
Yeah, no, I cause like when I saw Emily on the list, I'm like, she don't move the needle for me. I get it. Like she won one. Winning one challenge should not make you part of Mount Rushmore. Like you haven't done a lot to make me believe that hey, you are someone that I want on my Mount Rushmore. Everybody else on that list, aside from Tori, I will stamp and say yes. Like dare I say, and another tweet and one of the tweets later too that mentions about this too. Veronica could have been on this list. Like if you're going on impacts, yes, there's more people that should have been on this Mount Rushmore than that lady. Like we just saw her come back this season and she lost. Like what's the point of putting her on this list? That's it.
Yeah. And even if they're putting it with Eris, I just think that even though she's been the most seen and she does win dailies and all this other stuff, it's like, but she's only won one. Like we can't keep putting her to be this dominant force and she's only won once. Like I just think that's just strange. And not even just the one, I would say, but in terms of just viewing the challenge and like, I mean, it's all subjective, but I just can't measure her up there for me, like of all time. Like I just can't.
Yeah, because whenever I think about the challenge, I don't think of Emily. I think of other people before her. And that's what if we were actually going to go deep dive into that conversation, that would be the qualification for me for having people on that Mount Rushmore uh, as part of my qualifications. But that's neither here or there. Well, that's a conversation for another day, like we said. But the ladies did ponder who would be the third person to be a target. If Derek and Corey won, it would be between either Cara Maria or Michelle, because both Derek and Corey automatically knew that they're gonna pit Jenny and Rachel as their targets, and it was just a matter of okay, between Cara and Michelle, who would they pick? And in the midst of like that conversation too, Jenny was like, "Oh, I'm gonna pull this card for a favor because helped save Derek during the team portion of this challenge, and I want to like get that repaid." And it's like, girl, that was during the team challenge. He don't owe you that much. Like you said, oh, like he could have been gone. Okay. Like I get wanting to be repaid and like noted like if I scratch your back, you scratch mine. Aside from that, nothing else was really said to be like, okay, yeah, like I got you when the time comes.
Yeah, and I think this was brought up earlier in Jenny's quote unquote social game. It's like really she only had bananas on her side because everyone in her era just wasn't fucking with her. But also, she just can't play the game socially because you are not picking up cues that, hey, girl, even though quote unquote, saved Derek, I think it was more a thing on Corey, putting Corey into the elimination than it was, I'm saving Derek. Like, I don't think she was very blunt in saying that I'm doing this so I can save Derek. So for her now to circle back and try to put that all on Derek and say, hey, I think you should save me because this happened about 16 weeks ago is crazy. Like, it's every person for themselves at this point. And Jenny, you're not high on the list. And given at any point that, first of all, you made him a target last week. Let's start there. Like, if you wanted to repay him, you couldn't have not made him a target and put somebody else up like bananas. And you know you weren't going to do that. So why now all of a sudden you made him a target? He's going into the elimination this week and he should save you. Jenny, please get. I don't even that don't even make any sense.
At all, none whatsoever. Um, and we go to the arena, and obviously, like we said, the guys who are going to nation are Corey and Derek. They are playing a game called Clothing Time, where they have to start at the wheel and they have to use it to open a gate to grab cylinder blocks to create a puzzle. The first one to be done with the puzzle would win. And they both had two different strategies. Um, I thought initially Corey's strategy would work, but it all came down to really like doing that puzzle. Like it's one thing to like really like, okay, I'll take less trips, but also in me taking less trips, I gotta be able to organize this a little bit well. And Corey didn't do that. Whereas on Derek's side of things, he was able to like be slow and be methodical with, okay, I'm gonna take a few at a time, but I'm gonna know where to put my pieces.
Yeah, basically Derek was working smarter, not harder, literally placing the pieces, not only bringing matching Corey's energy, because Corey at one point was bringing four at a time, three at a time, and Derek started to match that energy and bring it three at a time. So Derek was keeping up physically with Corey, but he was just being methodical and not having to think about, now I gotta solve the puzzle later on if I have it, all disorganized. And Bananas mentioned that's how he lost in Ride or Dies, and I do remember that season with him and Nani, and basically them having to take it all down, restart all over because they realized that they placed the concrete down but didn't think about the puzzle after. And you know, I didn't think that Derek was not gonna get it. Like I just saw when it was a puzzle, I'm like, it's Corey's to lose at this point, basically, because if Corey says who he says he is in this point of the game and how he's grown and he's doing this and all of that, like he should have been able to have some kind of a better strategy, but he didn't. Uh, Even though at the end of the him bringing it over, he was a little bit closer in terms of figuring out the puzzle of one side of it. But I just think that obviously Derek had such of a head start and literally carried all of it over to the point where he finished one side of the puzzle and only had another side left to do, while Corey still had two, was mixed match and it was jumbled up. And even at a point, Jordan had to tell Corey, like, hey, you don't need any more. Like, you don't need any more of these blocks. Like, start figuring the shit out. So, yeah, it was just like not the best way for Corey to go about, given all of his hoorah that he's been trying to spew this whole season. But it is what it is. I'm so happy that Derek won in terms of just the day that it happened for him. And also, just I thought he deserved to be there. Like, I think that Derek, after his All Stars performance, like he's shown he's not someone should be slept on. And given the fact that he's gotten this far with the cast that we had on this season and, all of the names that we had, and he's the person that's left, I think that's super impressive. And I'm actually glad that Derek won the elimination.
Yeah, I totally agree because like Derek had a good showing on All Stars and seeing him come on the show, like, okay, cool. Like, it- granted, he was on an era with like big hitters. He was able to still stay afloat with his social game. That really like did help him. He also really did perform well, even in the team sections, and he stayed in like the middle of the sorts, stayed out of the conversations for even being targets until the end. Like he really played a really good social game and really like stayed true and like locked in at different points where it shocked not himself, but it shocked like everybody else. Like, oh, Derek's actually good and someone you gotta like really keep an eye on a little bit because he was really a dark horse. Like no one really expected Derek to be one of the last guys standing in this show for the season. But with Derek winning, he picked his targets and he picked obviously Jenny, Rachel, and then like we said, Cara volunteered herself to be a target because she was like, "Oh, Michelle's been a target already. I'll go on ahead and I'll lay on the sword and I'll be a target." And it's so funny too because like people are like, "Oh, there's a reason why such and such happened." Like Cara put herself in a situation. We're good.
Um, Derek's the reason why what? Like that she's a target?
Yeah. People are very like the car fans are like very annoyed by that. Like, why are you putting yourself a target? Why dare me target? Like we literally saw why she's a target. Like she was being honorable and like, I don't want you to pick. I'll just let you do. I'll just volunteer.
Yeah, I can't manage with delusion. She obviously said it, so I'm not even gonna go there.
So yeah, but TJ said that they are changing locations, and while TJ was saying, "Oh yeah, we like y'all go back home, y'all good," the seeing Corey just like be like, "Damn, everybody's excited. I'm about to go home." That's crazy.
Yeah, I thought it was funny because again, we still got this karma vote. We have no idea. Like we haven't been updated in weeks at this point. But you know, the people who are losing the elimination stay. And so him having to hear that, it kind of was like, damn. Like it would have been even more funnier if they were like, okay, we're gonna start the final now. I'd have laughed even harder because that'd have been funny to me. Just Corey trying to get there, and then for him to get to that point where they're like, we're actually gonna start the final. I'd have been like, damn, bro, that would have just, I don't know, I'm rude. That have just gave me more joy. But uh they're changing locations, and ultimately Corey's still not invited to the party, so it's kind of like, yeah.
Yeah. And so we're gonna get into the tweets from this week's episode. First one is, why would the Challenge 40 producers think Burger King is a good thing to eat before a physically enduring final?
I'm not sure what the food like is there to begin with. I mean, we've heard about horror stories on the bathroom situation and their living conditions. So I'm not even sure what they even serving them. So the fact that even they got French fries and something that they probably know a little bit better, I mean, I eat it too. Shit, I don't even
Yeah,
eat Burger King. I do not eat Burger King at home. I do not eat horse meat. I don't know what they serving at Burger King, but child, give me a couple French fries and some ketchup. I'll make it work.
yeah. Because like, dang, I the all that those conditions, something familiar, I'll take it. Even though it's fast food, I'll take it. Like, I'll take it. The next tweet, no shade to Emily, and I hope she plays again, but winning one season is not it. Veronica, Susie, and Rachel were more important to the show. This is stupid, and this is in reference to the Mount Rushmore that we talked about. Because I'm like we said, one season cannot be the qualification for you to be on that Mount Rushmore.
No, and it's just impact on the show. Like Rachel, like I said, Rachel is on the season. It's not like the people on the production had to go back so far to think about who to put on there. Like literally, Rachel is on the season. She's still there. Why y'all not putting her up there? It just makes no sense.
That's like saying Kendall should be part of Mount Rushmore. That's like saying Avi should be part of Mount Rushmore because they only won one season. The last tweet, Jenny asking Derek to not be a target because she saved him, quote unquote, during the team phase is done for many reasons. Reason number one being Derek was literally a target this week because Jenny nominated him. Jenny is basically trying to use a Black Friday coupon in July.
It's like I literally just said this 10 minutes ago. Crazy. Like I don't even understand Jenny's logic. I didn't even read that tweet, by the way. Like honestly, like hello, Jenny. I don't think she's even here with us. Like, girl, that was weeks ago at that point. If this was to happen weeks prior when she was a target again and he probably had the ability to save her, okay, I would say that would be something that she can use. But at this stage of the game, like, come on, Jenny, please.
No, that was not it. But that is all the tweets for this week's episode. So yeah.
Thank you guys so much for listening. We will be back to discuss more of the challenge season 40. If you would like to follow us on Twitter, you can at Dual Lines Pod. And if you would like to follow us individually, you can. You can follow Megan at Megan Hines and myself at Ace_S5. We'll be back to discuss more. Peace out.
Bye.